When was the last time you bawled your eyes out? Like really ugly crying, mental breakdown type of crying session. It has probably been a while, right? If you're like me, you may be going through a period of your life right now where you're sort of numb. You're sort of suppressing what you're feeling. And maybe you mistake that feeling for being happy. That was what I did. I had a period in my life where I didn't cry for like a year or two, even. And I thought that that was a sign that I was becoming better, that I was improving myself, that I was stoic, that I was disciplined, that I didn't let my feelings get in the way of what I wanted. I thought that was successful. Why did I think that? We are living in a society where we're taught that emotional suppression is strength. We're told to stay strong, to suck it up, to not overreact, to not feel so much, because that's just getting in the way of what we want. Over the last year, I figured that emotional suppression isn't strength, and it's not an indicator of you becoming better. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's a slow form of abandoning yourself, sabotaging yourself, and the dangerous thing about it is that it's not just accepted by society, but it is rewarded by society. People tell you that you're a rock. People tell you that you're so emotionally stable, when actually what they mean is you're just not showing any emotion whatsoever. You are not supposed to suppress what you feel. You're not meant to box it up, keep it in, and smile throughout it while deep inside you feel that you're aching because you're actually feeling miserable inside. We've built a world that calls emotional suppression strength, that tells you don't cry, don't overreact, you're being too sensitive, you're overreacting. When really, you're just responding to something that is real. Maybe it's not your emotions that are the issue here. Your emotions are actually there to serve as a compass in your life. They haven't developed just for fun, you know? They actually serve a purpose in your life. Emotions have helped us survive in the past. Emotions are essentially information that helps us move in the world, guides us, is like a GPS, a compass that lets us know when we're off track. They're kind of the check engine light. They're the light in the dark saying, okay, something's going on here. Can you please pay attention to this? In psychology, emotions are defined to serve three purposes. First of all, they tell you what's important. They tell you what you place value in. So if you're angry at something or someone, that means that that person or that thing has overstepped your boundaries. If you love someone, that means that that thing or that person is important to you. Second of all, they give you a sense of identity. We usually define ourselves over the emotions that we commonly feel. So you would say, okay, I'm a very joyous person, or I'm an impulsive, angry person, you know? And third of all, and this is the funny thing, the word emotion literally contains the word motion. Emotions set us into action. They motivate us to take action in order to change how we're feeling. I used to be so good at shutting it all down and turning it off like a light switch, and I'd say I'm fine when I clearly wasn't. If you think about it, the question, how are you, has almost becoming rhetorical. It's almost like saying hello, you know? No one really expects you to tell them how you actually feel because they don't want to know. It's a way of society pretending to care about how you feel, but actually it's just, we all know that it's just like something you say. And so we laugh when we want to scream inside because someone made a disrespecting joke towards us, for example. We distract ourselves. We keep using our phones. We keep distracted with people, with to-do lists, with work, instead of feeling what we actually feel. We keep ourselves occupied all the time, and we think that that is for the better, that to ignore our emotions is the way to go. But you know what I learned? You can't heal what you won't let yourself feel. You can't fix what you won't face. And what we're doing here is just running away from what we're feeling. So how do we do that? How do we finally take the courage to face our emotions, to feel what we're actually feeling? Step number one is You have to stop labeling your emotions as good or bad, okay? Because that is essentially what we're doing. We're demonizing the negative emotions. Don't show anger. Don't show sadness. That's embarrassing. Yes, you can laugh. That's fine, but go away with all the negative stuff. Stop labeling your emotions. They're all information, and all information is equally important. Anger is information. Sadness is information. Joy is information. Even guilt is information. Instead of asking, how do I get rid of this? Try asking yourself, what is this trying to tell me? Treat your emotions as what they are, little messengers that are meant to direct you in the correct direction in your life. Number 2, get curious, not judgmental. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? What caused me to feel the way I'm feeling right now? Why do I feel jealous of this person? What does this person have that I want too? Why am I jealous? What is this telling me about me? Really ask yourself, why do I feel the way I feel? And not what's wrong with me for feeling this way. You're getting angry in a social situation, you ask yourself, why do I feel this way? What's wrong with me? Let me just drink more and forget about the feelings of anger that I have because this person made this disrespectful joke towards me. No. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? What happened here? And the difference between these two questions is one leads to shame and one leads to healing. So, when you cut off your emotions, you essentially cut off an information stream. That way, you get stuck in situations, jobs, relationships that don't serve you one bit, okay? And then you ask yourself, how did I get here? Because you ignored the signals that have been sent to you from the very beginning because you didn't want to feel them. And also, this is the thing, depression is not just feeling sad. Often, depression patients describe their symptoms as feeling numb, feeling apathetic, feeling lethargy, not being motivated to do anything. And this is exactly what happens when you learn to suppress your feelings over and over again, when essentially this emotional suppression becomes a habit to you. You don't listen to your cues, you don't listen to your signals, and so you also can't use this emotion part of the emotion, the motion part. You're not motivated to take any action because you don't feel anything. This is how you get stuck in depressive situations where you know that you're kind of in the wrong place, but you've ignored your feelings for so long that you don't know how to get out of it. You don't know which move to take. You're not motivated to change anything. You're helpless, and you've learned to be helpless because you didn't listen to your feelings in the beginning. Number 3, stop trying to fix your emotions. Emotions are not there to fix, okay? Sometimes you don't even need a solution. A lot of the times we try to find a rational solution to our emotions, but emotions are not rational. And sometimes you just need to feel. It's rough. Sometimes, you don't want to sit in sadness. You don't want to weep your eyes out for an hour. Of course you don't. But your emotions need space. This is the only way to cope with them in a healthy way. You need space. You need to cry. You need to write out in your notes app what's going on in your mind. Sometimes you just have to rant and write a whole paragraph about how shitty your life feels. You need to feel, because the emotions you suppress, they don't disappear, they just go quieter, and they're stored in your body. There are studies that actually connect, and there's this suppression, emotional suppression, is actually a way to regulate your emotions. And this emotional regulation style is actually connected to cardiovascular disease. So your blood pressure basically rises every time you ignore your emotions. Do you want that? Your emotions, they move into your shoulders, into your gut, they turn into sleepless nights, they morph into overreactions. I'm sure you've all experienced this before, when someone, asks you how you are, and then suddenly, boom, it all comes crashing out because you've sucked it up for so long, you boxed it up for so long, you kept them under the surface for so long that sometimes one single thing, one minor inconvenience can trigger like an emotional tornado to explode, and that is embarrassing. It doesn't get heavier when you feel it, it actually gets lighter. That is the misconception we have, and I think that's also a reason why we keep suppressing our emotions, is because we think that once we actually allow ourselves to go into that emotion, we'll be drowned by it. when actually the opposite is the case. Feel the anger without letting it control you. Feel the sadness without needing to rush through it and get out of this sad state as quick as possible. If you've just broken up with your significant other, you're gonna feel sad. Feel it. Don't go into the club the next day to hook up with someone else. Feel the sadness. It's allowed to be there. You don't have to be over it by now, and you don't have to be okay for someone else's comfort, okay? Because this is also something that I realize a lot of the times we're not even doing this for ourselves, we're doing it for others. We're mustering up the strength to keep a straight face even if we're doing miserable because we don't want to hurt the people around us. But the people who actually love you will support you even if you're not doing fine and even if you're suppressing unwanted emotions. Reframe it, challenge it, and zoom out. I'm not just telling you to feel your emotions, but to actually ask yourself, why do I feel that way? Maybe there's another way to think about this. Don't erase what you feel, but make space for something that maybe is truer and more functional in that situation. Your emotions are not just meant to be felt, but they're also meant to be understood. And this is what I want you to take from this video. I'm not telling you to drown in your emotions, but I'm also not telling you to suppress them. There is a middle way to go through this. This is essentially feeling what you need to feel and asking yourself, is this the right way to think about it? Is this actually a valid emotion, or am I creating an emotional echo chamber for myself where I put myself down? I hope you guys could take something from this video, and I see you guys in the next video.